For those who are watching this on the replay later, I just want to let you know that this week's podcast drop was Roxy Menzies, who is doing a lot of writing, contributing, has some new projects that are coming up, has a fantastic post up in terms of writing tips for every Wednesday. So please check her out at Roxy Menzies. I can put it in the chat here. One second. Yes, so Roxy Menzies. Yeah. So yes, so follow her please. Check that out and learn more about how you could layer in writing into the things that you're doing. Get your message out. Let people see and hear what's important to you. The reason why we do these chats is because there's an opportunity to highlight the people in the space. They can understand what you do, but they understand a little bit more about who you are and how, like, what's important to you. And that connection is what facilitates greater connections with our clients and then builds those relationships. So that is the whole objective of even these core conversations. So when you see Roxy doing it her way with writing and now opening up for more people to be able to take workshops and understand how they can add that, definitely lean into that. Take advantage of these learning resources that are available to us to help us to elevate our business. Another person that does a similar thing is Kwesi Millington with his speaking and talking about public speaking, and a great coach and lots of free tips there to kind of get you started, a primer for diving deeper into that. So there are so many different ways to communicate our message, and to take advantage of these resources that are available are the things that help us to get your name out there, to get people to refer to your business, to communicate all those different things that we do. There's so many different people that are out there doing that. Healthy by You Coaching, what's going on? Yeah, so those are the things that I feel are important. So I'm just saying in terms of just, for Healthy by You Coaching, just as you're coming in here, that how it's important to just learn these things, just to have the right messages and how to communicate your message. Much like PR, it's great that we're doing all these awesome works, but do people even know that we exist? How where do we stand philosophically with women's health, men's health, movement, all those different things, and how we can help. And even like bigger topics, like we're talking, the intersection of racism or inclusivity or body positivity, all these different topics that Roxy touches on are great things, and we can just share our perspective on it and let people know that they have a safe space to walk into. So those are the things that we touched on in that podcast that's coming up, that came out yesterday. So definitely like, subscribe, and share in terms of the podcast, and also the YouTube. Like I said, you can catch it there, and then also follow along. So that's something else that we can put in there. But Renee, how are you doing? How has your week been? It's interesting. What about the marketing has been a struggle for you? Because I think marketing, even, that's, I get intimidated by the phrase marketing too, but when you start to boil it down to the different elements of the marketing, you get a better understanding of what your challenge is. So what would you say within that kind of blanket of marketing is your challenge? And I'd love to hear if anyone else, comes in the chat and wants to talk about what their challenges are with marketing are as well. also Plate. Right. So yeah, so just share on that. And I mean, even with that, I mean, calling yourself a wellness mentor, like I love that phrase. Like, I think that even says that's part of the marketing. That title is a unique title that lets people know, okay, when it comes to wellness, I need a mentor, most likely I need a business mentor or a whatever mentor. So those are the things. Okay, so in your note here, how do you find your people where you're focused? It's interesting with that, how sometimes we have that challenge, right? Like where it's like, how do we find our people? And I think that, the bigger question is not necessarily how do you find your people. It's the question is like, what parts of my business do I want to, neglect's a strong word, not put attention on right now so that I can put more attention in the area where I want to draw people from. For example, if you have 5 things that you do right now, 1 or 2 of them are things you want more people in. The others you're good at, you enjoy, they give you energy, all that stuff. But you want to focus on this one area. You almost have to let go of the other things and let them just grow organically while you shift all of your focus on that one piece. So that being said, whatever that piece is, like Renee, if you want to just put in the comment section, what are, of the things that you do right now, what gives you the most joy? Is it personal coaching? Is it the actual Pilates? Is it doing consultation with people? Is it doing workshops? Is it public speaking? Is it making a podcast? Is it whatever that one piece is, put it in the comment section. And then that becomes our launch pad. So, if Roxy was in the chat, she would say, well, start writing articles on that. Look at, she would probably say, follow some of her blogs and articles where she talks about how do you find your audience in terms of being a contributing writer on a blog, all those different things. Write your own blog and just get attention on the thing that you're most passionate about and then run from there. The rest of the stuff isn't going to die. And I think that's my message here, is that the other stuff that you do isn't going to die if you take your eyes off of it. It might still just naturally grow because that's the season you're in and the people are referring you to that or whatever it is, but it's going to take extra effort to grow the area that you're most passionate about. And you probably have heard all this stuff before, but just something to think about from that perspective. Because I had to do that with Real Men Do Pilates, and not focusing on my personal training or sport conditioning or TRX or whatever. Like, there's so many different things that I do and have done in the past. Is like, how do you get more of those people in the area that you're trying to grow, but not feel like you're being disloyal to the other parts of your business, right? Yeah. So Healthy by You Coaching is saying Pilates is where I want to grow right now. All good points, thank you. So what about Pilates? Group classes, privates, semi-privates, men, women, corrective exercise, performance, just mobility, pre-postnatal, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many layers within just Pilates because Pilates is for everybody. Larger bodies, smaller bodies, children, older, aging adults, teens, school age kids, corporate. Whew. Okay. Privates for women with chronic pain is what she replied. All right. So privates for women with chronic pain. So now let's unpack that a little bit more. How much, you don't have to say how much you charge, but like, can they all afford privates? Do you have a program where someone is able to do some kind of scholarship type thing to offset some of the payment for some people who can't afford it? Do you have group classes or smaller groups so you can still address them in a smaller, more intimate setting, but not like a large group format? Those are the things, right? So asking and answering those questions, which I'm sure you have because we all go through this process, it reinforces it, right? And the more you do it and the more you stay consistent with that message, the more that people will recognize that you are the authority on that. You are the subject matter expert on that area. And those are the fun things that it comes down to. I like looking at that stuff. And like you, for you doing for privates for women with chronic pain, I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff that you do really well. You probably have some men who come in who love you and think you're the best Pilates person on the planet, and you're like, I can just train men all day because of this, this, and this. Like, and that's, you can do that too. But if that's where your heart is, you almost have to let some other stuff go to make sure that that message is the preeminent message, the first message that people see. Thoughts, Pilates Carrie? Great coaching. You know what's funny, Ashley Renee, is like this kind of helps me as well. I like thinking out loud because when I hear myself saying this to you, that makes me think, okay, I need to do a Real Men Do Pilates post this morning. Like I did just this morning. Just standing there, and I made that my Real Men Do Pilates post from a reflective standpoint. But nothing actually moving. I haven't done a movement post in a while. And yeah, so it's true. We do many things, and it's baby crying. Yes. Delphina Pilates, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Where are you located? But at the same time, Renee, so we're talking Pilates for coaching for women with chronic pain. Where does your audience come from right now? Are they referrals? Are they, have you been advertising to them and just dropped off? Have you made your posts to speak to that? Delray, Florida. Nice. Thank you. Welcome. And the reason why I asked that is because I've heard, I've been recommended for my things to just like, you know, when I'm doing a post to say, and to focus it, hi Kimberly, to focus it for men, just saying like, okay, men, this will be for you, Pilates this for everyone, but, and just like unapologetically do a post for men. This might help your back. This can help you get stronger. This takes away pain, whatever it is. I'm trying to figure out what those things are that I'm trying to speak to. And then, yeah, it's tough. So for those of you who just jumped in, Healthy by You Coaching, Renee and I have been chatting about our marketing and who we're trying to attract with our marketing. And similar to the question of who's your ideal client or who's drawn into your business, I was just really highlighting the point that you almost have to take your focus off some of the other areas that you also enjoy working with to get the emphasis on the one. And getting over that sense and that feeling of disloyalty to one part of your business in order to make the other one grow. And that's a tough thing, and it's easier said than done until you try and do it, because you feel like, okay, I love teaching boot camps, but I'm not going to talk about boot camps for like 3 months while I am trying to get more women with chronic pain to come into the studio. That sort of thing. Does anyone else in the chat kind of struggle with that or have given thought to how they refine their message? And while I'm waiting for people to respond to that, the other part to that is the temptation to give up on your the consistency of your message is great because money talks. I can try and drive a group class for men on a Saturday morning, and then I get someone who missed their session in the week that wants Saturday morning, and then I give it away. And then the next week someone else picks it up, and then the next week picks it up, and then I have a private in that session that could have made me more in a group session because I didn't give up on the quick money that was coming while trying to grow something. So now I postpone the growth of that thing because I just gave away the slot I wanted to do that thing in. So then the whole messaging has to change because I actually don't have any time to do the class that I want to use to grow my business with. Is that just me? Am I alone in that? Just a thought. When I asked Renee earlier, how did she get most of her business? She said mostly referrals, and referrals are great. Referrals are really good because you get to offset this whole conversation about marketing by simply just asking the people who are in your business to tell a friend to come with them, or go to a doctor's office to tell them what you do and why your people need to be part of your group or physio or whatever it is, right? So that's marketing too, word of mouth. Just some thoughts. Kimberly, good to see you, traveling girl. Hope things are well. Delphina, thank you so much for joining us. Adrienne, hello. And Core Pilates PT. I think I've seen you before, but I can't remember where you're from. Where are you located again? Any more travel coming up? kind of sour on the travel thing after my passport rolls this week, but we'll leave that alone. Healthy by you coaching. Anyone else finding it difficult to talk to other people about the things you're good at? That's right there. Is there anybody else in the chat, even in the chat after if you watch us on the replay, difficult to talk to other people about what you're good at? I wonder, please share. Anyone else in the chat find it difficult to talk about the things that you're good at? Really, Kimberly? Yes, Carrie's saying yes. That's why I've made myself go and talk on other others' podcasts. Good. Yep. Good. Renee, I love how you just got in the conversation from the chat. That's awesome. These are the things, and like Carrie said, there's a sense of leaning into it. If we want to go back to my conversation with Stefan last week, Seeds for Greatness, where we're talking about being scared to do it anyways, or being perceived as being weak and doing it anyways, there's something to be said about admitting that you are finding it difficult to share what it is that you're good at, admit it, and then do it anyways. Lean into it in that sense of we start to use that phrase a lot, but jump into those podcasts and just I was encouraged to own the space of men doing Pilates when I was just getting started. People who had nothing to do with Pilates, people who really weren't marketing people, they're just doing their thing. They said you should own that space because you're a guy and you make Pilates look cool. You're not a dancer, you can't put your foot behind your ear or whatever it is, so you're gonna appeal to the guy who doesn't think that Pilates is for them. That has to be for someone who could do the splits, or someone that is super bendy. It's not necessarily for an athlete. You make it look cool, so you need to own that space. That was the messaging that I got. So while I was naive to the complexities of this Pilates thing, I just threw myself out there as the guy who understands and who's the authority on guys doing Pilates. And I think that that mindset is what we need before we get too caught up in overthinking what we do. Point blank, what do you do? What do you like to do? Own that space. So Kimberly's saying, for me, it's more wanting to explain the process of where I am now. This is my talent. I'm talented. Then, okay, yeah, I hear you. But then how does that tie into your elevator pitch? Because you may not have enough time to explain that process. And someone may basically want to know, like, I help people with their back pain. I can help people with chronic pain, and I'm going to use some exercises in that Pilates repertoire thing. You might have heard of before. So just in a loving way, challenging that to say, okay, well, you don't have time. You have to say you own something. Where do you fit? Even though we're all multi-talented, multifaceted people. Yes. I love that we're all figuring this out. Like, I mean, it's not, when it is figured out, that doesn't mean that that's the last time you're going to have to think about it. One may say we never actually figured out. So today, this is where we're at. This is what it is. If you're to ask me on the way to my car, what do I do? This is what the answer would be today. That's just a thought. And I forgot to do this. If anyone wants to join me live on screen, just give me a thumbs up or press the plus button on your camera there, and it'll send a request to join on screen, and then we can chat. So it doesn't have to just be via text. You can join me on the screen. I love this topic, and I'm always challenged by it because this is always something that's evolving for me too, but I find that there's always been this consistency of whatever I'm doing to come back to men and. So maybe that's it for you. I know like someone like Sarah Alice in the UK who works with teens, so whether she's working with scoliosis or like a high performance figure skater, it's like, how do I help teens, right? So those overarching things that aren't going to shake, I'm curious about for you too. So what would you say that is for you, Kimberly or Carrie or Renee? Or Philip Griffin, who is here. I'm going to bring Kimberly on, and she's Hey,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I think I was living vicariously through your vacation posts.
Yeah, it was pretty spectacular. So, hi everyone. I just got back from Kauai, and yeah, if you haven't been, I couldn't recommend it enough. If you like adventure and outdoors, I'd say it's a good one for you. Yeah, it's so funny. My husband and I found like super cheap Southwest tickets like a month in, like 2 months ago. So we weren't planning on going, but like literally $70 one way. And
What?
yeah, it was crazy. They were having like a 2-day sale, and I was actually looking for tickets for something else. But so we got them. The rest of the trip was not cheap, but the tickets were.
That's,
But it's
yes.
funny. We're just gonna go and lay on the beach and like relax because it had been a busy month before, like February. We're just gonna relax. No,
Yeah.
we literally did everything but relax. Like everything fun. But yeah. So if you haven't been, if you were ever wondering, yeah, it's definitely, I'd say, and it's an amazing place to go. It's beautiful and a lot of hiking and things like that. So. Yeah, so getting back and decompressing from the trip for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get a chance to stop and reflect on what you're doing next with this corner of your business? Because, like, once again, you're so talented with all the different things you're doing. What does your Pilates world look like?
It's interesting. So I like that I like the question today, and that's why I kind of tuned in because, yeah, for me, I do a lot of things. I'm a dancer and whatnot. The Pilates world is still so new to me that I haven't found like my elevator pitch, like that type, I get asked that, not a
Yes.
lot, like what do you specialize in, or what do you do? And right now it's I teach Pilates. Like I am so new to teaching consistently Pilates that I really don't know yet. So for me, it's
Sure.
I Pilates.
Yeah.
I try to make people feel better and feel, good about themselves, and really just making it a very open and welcoming environment. And from there, I think I'll figure out maybe the Pilates for dancers someday or something like that. But it's funny because automatically people try to give me my elevator pitch too, which I find funny.
Yes.
They're like, why not do Pilates for dancers? And I'm like, yes, that seems not complicated, but for me, I'm still navigating my way. So
Yes.
I don't know what that picture looks like yet. So yes, I could
Sure.
slap a title on a class and go Pilates for dancers. I could totally do that.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not authentic yet in my brain until it is. I can't label anything, basically.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's I wanted to say too, for the people that are in that same spot, that I mean, you seem like you're just kind of relaxing with it and going with the flow, but I hope that no one feels like they have 48 hours to get their elevator pitch together, or they're not worth their salt as a teacher, sort of thing. Like, I want people to just kind of be like, let it come to you, let it fall in your lap, let it find you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that I'm going to try to say this, I think the best way possible, but I think when it tries to get forced, it does feel forced. And the way that I've seen classes that are like Pilates for dancers, or not even Pilates, just like other types of modalities for something. And then you go to take the class and it doesn't make sense, or I could have taken this class for any other amount of reasons. It's not really specific to
it's
what
like
was put
almost
out
like a
there.
marketing ploy at that moment.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
And
true in a
and
sense.
I don't want to fall, because I feel like I've been very excited about classes for a specific reason. There's sometimes you just go and you want to work out, or you just want to take the full body class, and that's what I call my classes, full body. It's a very kind of arbitrary name right now, because it is a full body class. That's what you're getting. I don't have a lot of specialty classes yet, but I'm very confident though in my full body class. You're going to get the full body, and that makes sense to me. But I've definitely taken classes where I've been like, oh, I'm excited to take this. Like, it's for something specific. And then
this is the same content as my class.
It's like very arbitrary.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, if it's a great class, usually I might just like, but oftentimes they're not. Those are the classes that are like, it's maybe not the best class.
That was so diplomatic the way you said that. So as a personal trainer, I have to say, this is like a little personal trainer secret that I've always kind of used. I recognize when I was working sport specific with certain athletes, if I had a squash athlete, I had some provincial level or pro squash guys. If I had a squash guy, a football athlete, or a really active senior, their programs would have looked exactly the same on paper. Right? So I could say I'm doing like strength and conditioning for sport for squash, and then I could just change the title and say strength and conditioning for football, or I could scratch that out and put strength and conditioning for seniors, and it would be the same exercises. And you'd be like, wait a minute, that was the same thing as a squash guy. Because in principle, they're all the same things. And then it comes down to us as teachers communicating what the connection is and what the tie is to the movement.
Yeah.
So the movement in of itself might be exactly the same, but how good are we with our marketing and saying, this is going to help you with your golf swing, this is going to help you with your toe out, or whatever your dance terminology is, or this is going to help with whatever. Right? I tried.
You did try. I give you an A for effort.
Thank you. So that's the marketing piece, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I'm just going to say yes to that. And I feel like I'm getting into a vicinity now in my brain, especially because I'm doing a lot more private teaching in person. Because I, for those that don't know, I got my certification. I started my certification about 5 months before COVID hit. And
Okay.
then I did all of it through COVID. So we're just getting back to in person and, private sessions and things
Mhm.
like that. I will say through my private teaching, and I, I'm starting to learn more about, I would say, how I want to start, like sculpting and molding my way, like through
Yes. Yes.
classes. It's different, it's two different worlds, and getting to work with people in person, one-on-one now, that just makes a big difference in how I can
Mhm.
kind of formulate things in my head too. Because
Yes.
how I would market, obviously my group classes would be very different than working with someone one-on-one that's working on a golf swing or working on
Yeah.
something very specific, rather than a group session where right now for me it's the full body workout,
Yes.
just getting the movement into your body.
Yeah.
So which is becoming very helpful, and starting to work with a lot of different kinds of clients that have different needs. Like
For sure.
I work with like a stunt woman. I work with a 75-year-old
So
woman. I'm starting to work with just very different. And for me, that's the best thing. The
I
best thing.
agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know people, I've had them on the show who just stay there and they love it. They're on the front lines. They're not looking for a management position. They're not looking for a specialty. They're not looking to do anything except just be there for their people and just do that really, really, really well.
Yeah.
That is proper. Like I mad respect for that. And that's it. Like you have other stuff going on too. So you could do this the rest of your life, or you could be like someone walks in the door and you're like, I'm gonna work with like neuro whatever for the rest of my life. Like that can happen too, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. I actually like that you said that, because I actually had to really evaluate that just even when I got back from the trip, because I literally just started these private sessions like a month ago.
okay.
And I don't know, I got back from my trip, and I had like a few days off before I started teaching again. And it's funny that you say that, because I do have a lot of other things going on, and I still have other stuff in my life. And when you have so there's your group classes, which obviously I put a lot into, but when you have that connection one-on-one,
Yes.
I actually had to start thinking, how many clients am I going to take on?
Hmm.
And the length of time I want to do this, and seeing how much I love doing it. And I say that because I'm like, oh, when you start having these one-on-one connections, like I know for me, when I get comfortable with somebody, that's who I want to work with. It's like getting your
Yes.
hair cut. Like I don't want them to leave, because like I don't ever want again have to find someone to cut my hair. And I had to really think about that, because I'm like, is this the path I want to go down? Because if I'm going to go
Yes.
down it, I'm going to stick to it, because I want to be accountable for them, and I want to be there for them. And
Hmm.
I really had to like think about that and take,
From their perspective.
yes, it's a job, but it's also, this is someone's life, and it's not, you know, this deals with mental health, physical health. So much goes into a private session that I had
Hmm.
to really think about the path I want to take with that, because I want to make sure
Yes.
that I'm 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 there for not the right reasons. I am there for the right reasons,
Yes.
but I also know that I can be booked on a job and have to be gone for a month, or
Yes.
and I just have to figure out where I land on that kind of. I just have to figure out where I land on that. I'm in the process.
Kimberly. The funny thing about this, if someone just tuned in, we could either be talking about dating or about Pilates right now.
I know, right? Like, what are we talking about?
Right? What are we talking about right now? Because like you start that relationship with the person, and then you're like, how serious is this gonna get? Right?
Yeah,
Like, how much do I want to invest in this person, knowing that I might have to leave? But if they're connecting with you and they hear your story, they know where you're at, then they're going to also embrace that. There's going to be some fluidity with that. And, maybe you have, like what I do, I have a colleague that whenever I do teaching stuff or outside gigs, she always comes with me. So if I ever can't make it, they're familiar with the person who's always been like, they're spotting people, like I'm teaching and she'll go around and just like do hands-on cues and stuff. So the
Yeah.
week I can't make it, like, well, Kristen's here and she's going to continue it. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to always set up so that they're comfortable with another body as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
So that,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and do that, like you find those partnerships. And I find that that's been super helpful when when I'm with teams and stuff, is that like, this is my friend and she's a nutritionist. This is my friend. She's also a Pilates instructor. This is whatever. So that even though it's like, I'm doing it and they're paying me, they come and maybe I'll just, thanks so much. I'll pay her for helping, but at least everyone's comfortable with two faces so that if I can't make it, the show goes on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I actually really like that because, yeah, it wasn't until I started really teaching consistently the private work that I was like, I really had to think about that. But, no, that makes absolute sense. And I think once I and more just get going and
mhm,
can find other people to start linking with, I
yeah,
think that will definitely make more sense to me. But I'm
for sure.
definitely like I'm such a like devil's advocate, devil and angel on the
Look at it
shoulder.
from every angle type thing.
I think about every angle of everything, and it could be me doing something for 5 years or for 5 minutes. That's just I'm constantly
Hi, how are you
struggling
doing?
with my brain all the
Right.
time. That's just like how I am.
Yep.
But and I
That's
really quickly I really like the clients that I teach right now too. Like I really
yes.
like them. Like they're,
Hmm.
you have some that you don't connect with, I would say as well.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Hmm.
But them, they just show up. They're just they love working with me. Like I've quickly formed relationships with them.
Yes.
Um, so it made me more, more invested mentally too. So
Mm.
to I, that part of me is very important to, you know,
Yes.
where I'm showing up for them. But I absolutely love, because I like working with people too. So
Hmm.
having
Hmm.
someone else that you work with, so that fortunately I'm in LA. A lot of people have jobs like mine too. So
Yes.
most people are understanding because half of them are doing the
Right.
same, you
Same
know.
thing. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's key to have those relationships, and with their clients too. They're going to be sympathetic to the changes and ebbs and flows with those relationships as well, right? So
Yeah.
um, there's well, yeah, I mean, like with what I'm doing too, like everyone now, like it's May, June, July, August, right down to October, I'm going to start campaigning. So then if I'm successful with this city council thing, then my schedule is going to massively change in October,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So how do I continue to cultivate relationships with the people and commitment to their fitness journey, knowing that there might be like a sharp left turn in October if I'm successful?
Yeah.
So how do you, overthinker to overthinker right now, how do you continue to build relationship with these people,
Yeah.
knowing that the dynamic of that relationship is going to change down the road, maybe?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
hard when congratulations, by the way. That's
Thank you.
incredible.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks.
and it's hard to be a person like that sometimes. It works in your favor, but it also like really could just kind of hold you in place. I'm always
Yes.
thinking 17 steps ahead and the what ifs and all the different paths that can go
Yes.
down. And I've
Uh,
really had to work on that lately, like more just live in the moment and just let things, that's super difficult for me.
yes.
Yeah.
And are there other charter members of Overthinkers Anonymous in the crowd, along with
Yeah.
Kimberly and I?
Where are you
Uh,
at? We feel you.
yes. We see you. We
We see
feel
you.
you. Yeah. No, yeah. I don't know how we got there from like marketing and your niche, but that's one of yeah. And Renee. Yes, exactly. Funny enough, because Renee is the one who started this conversation by asking the crowd, like, what about the marketing, and saying, what you're good at. Okay, so let's take it back, actually. Coming back to her question, apart from like your niche and your specialty and all those different things, I overthink while sleeping. So funny. Um,
Just,
Apart from all those things, just being able to say, I'm good at this.
yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, have you been in a moment teaching a class where it's just like, flowing, and you give a cue and everyone gets it, and then they just move it, and you're looking around, you're like, I'm pretty good at this thing. Like, have you had that moment?
Mhm. Yeah.
Right? And then
Yeah.
can you embrace that moment? Can you actually just stay in that moment for a second and just thing, right? Like,
Yeah, I think we've all had those times where just you and the class just we're all on the same page. For me, it when I feel that energy happening, and it's interesting because I can feel it in my virtual classes too. Like I feel it
good.
through
Yes.
the computer. But for me, when that happens, I attach. It's like a performance to me almost. When I
Sure.
feel things are going well, it just boosts the confidence and boosts everything,
Mhm.
and it just keeps ticking up. That's kind of
Yes.
what happens, I think, maybe with most people,
Mhm.
when you know, when you're doing, when you know everything's coming together. It's funny that you said
Sure.
so, and I put in the comments. It's funny. There are certain things that I could like for me personally, like I can express and be like, it's hard for me to say I'm talented at something though. That's kind of what I
Mhm.
meant more in the chat. Like if people are talking
Sure.
to me or they're like, "Oh, you're good at this or you're good at that."
Mhm.
It's
Yes.
it's hard it's hard for me to like be like, "Yes." I
Right.
am. But there's also some things that I'm like, "Yes, I am." So it's
Mhm.
funny like how my brain equates to stuff. Um,
Yes.
like I know if I busted my butt to get to something, I have no shame in being like, yes, I am good at that. It's like, for instance,
Because you invested in it.
I invested in it. My so Pilates is so new to me, even though I've spent so much time with it. It's still for me, I feel newer in the world of Pilates. So
For sure.
I'm confident in my teaching. I am. I'm still learning always all the time, but I am confident in my teaching. But it's still a little bit like I haven't. I don't know if I've owned that space of it yet to be like, you know,
Sure.
of that. But it's funny
I feel you.
in certain aspects of my dance world though that I've been doing since I was
Mhm.
such a child. It's a little different because I've worked so many years to be where I am
Yeah,
that
for
I'm
sure.
okay being like, I busted my butt and I've been through the ups and downs of this. So, and it's
Yes.
more like, yes, but then I also, I mean, maybe you've gotten to know me enough to go like, oh, it's almost like a teaching, um, I almost use it as teaching too. Like if you're interested in
Yes.
anything, keep
For
going.
sure. Yeah.
There's going to be down.
Well,
So
yeah. Like, I'll give you an example of that. Like, just from right now, like, if I was to ask you to teach me some dance moves, you might be able to, yeah, stand up, do this, whatever. But I said, I want you to take me through a Pilates class right now. It might be a pause, and then you do it.
funny because it's actually the opposite. So
Okay,
I'm much more
let's
comfortable
discuss.
in Pilates than I dance.
Really? But you're a professional dancer. So you'd think
I
that that would be your place of authority.
you would think, but it's teaching wise. I actually would say I'd be more comfortable teaching a Pilates class.
Really?
For me, though, also my dance world is very talented based, where my Pilates world, although it is talent, it's also like fact based. So,
Okay.
like, I also
I get you.
very can be kind of inward with talent type things
Hmm.
as well. So,
Right. Is there more of a fear of being judged on how you would teach the dance as opposed to the being taught the Pilates?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, and mainly because I think this mainly started when I got to Los Angeles. To be honest with you,
Okay.
um, I was in like a dance team world for so long, which actually is not my training. Like I was not a dance team dancer. I was more contemporary, like flowy.
Mhm.
And then I did dance team dancing for almost 10 years. So I became so structured in that when I got out of that, I was like, who am I as a dancer? And I think we've talked about that.
Yes.
Um, and then I was kind of doing random jobs, but then I got to LA where this is like the mecca of dancing and talent.
Yes.
So it's taking me a while to rebuild my confidence in the dance world because I'm constantly surrounded by, I would say, the most talented dancers in Los Angeles too. Like the jobs I've gotten to do, I'm just like, I don't belong here. Like they're
Right.
just, the people I work with are just so talented and
Yes.
literally the best people on earth. Like literally the best
Nice.
and kindest people on earth, that it's been very humbling for me as well. So my
Mm.
dance, I'm not insecure as a dancer, but I would
Yeah.
say it's a part of me that is always ongoing and
Yeah.
mixed
I
emotion. There's a lot of emotion
yes.
tied to
Love
my
it.
dancing. Whereas
Yeah.
Pilates, it's more like I started it, I'm doing it. It's more just like bump, 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 bump.
Makes total sense. And also in what you said there, what makes sense is like I didn't feel like I need to save you from saying everyone else around me is really good. Like there's times when I say something like that, people are like, no, 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 you're good too. Like I hear you. I hear your respect for other people's
Yeah.
talent and achievement level. Much like when I was playing football, and then you walk onto the field in university ball, and like you may have been like the man on your high school team, and then you recognize like within 2 minutes being there that everyone in the room was the man on their football team. Like
Yes.
everyone is good.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like you're on a
Yes.
now level where everyone carried their team wherever they came from.
Absolutely. Absolutely correct. And um, yeah, exactly. I came from a world where I was probably the more elite of the dancers and a
Yep.
lot getting that praise. And even
Mm-hmm.
when I got that praise though, in my brain, I think just because of the structure of how I grew up, I was always like,
Still
I know
grounded.
I'm not I know I'm not the best dancer out there. Like I've never
Yes.
ever thought that. And then I did get jobs early on in my career, like that I worked hard for, but like I got them and like felt very comfortable and confident in them.
Sure.
And then yeah, coming to LA, I mean, I knew it when I got here, but like just the caliber of people that I just feel honored to work with. And it's funny, some of them are like 10 years younger than me. Like, it's just like
Mm-hmm.
crazy the demographic out here. People move out here when they're 15 or, like
Yes.
everyone's paths are just so different that it's humbling, but it's pretty cool too. Like,
Sure.
but again, I'm able to take a step back and go, I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, but I'm also very humbled by
Yes.
what is going on around me, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
and thankful to be a part of it. To be
Great.
honest, yeah.
I think. Yeah. This. You're like legit.
Yes,
Yes.
Pilates, Harry. Yes, absolutely correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think that some people aren't able to be aware of that. So it's I'm
uh,
always aware of where I am in my surroundings.
yes. Applied Institute of SoCal. I haven't seen her in a long time. Level of dancing is insane in LA more now than ever. You were so right. We were mentioning that. This is such a fun conversation. I love it's 55 already, which means I gotta jump off.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I needed this chat. Honestly, Kimberly, like I think I needed something just to kind of get my head off this insane week and just to lead into just a good conversation with good people who are just grounded and appreciative of the talents that we possess. So
Yeah.
um thank you. So
Thank
timely.
always creating the space for a good chat for sure. Yeah.
I love it. Carrie, thanks so much for jumping in. And Renee, I don't know if she's still in here. Are you? Yes. Such good time. And thank you, Renee, for the question that actually sparked this whole conversation for today. So that was
Who was Renee's name on here? I'm trying to.
healthy by you.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, so please follow her if you're not.
Yeah. Hi
And
Renee.
that was awesome. Oh, yeah, sorry. And Padgett student SoCal is asking, where do you teach?
Oh, hi. I'm in North Hollywood, so I teach private sessions right now out of my apartment actually, and I also teach for like a small chiropractic practice and then virtually online. Yeah.
There you go.
Me right now. Yeah.
And there's Sonia. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Sonia.
All right. Cool. Well, yes. Thank you so much. I'll message you after because we still need to get your hubby in for that Pilates session. So
I
we're
know.
still working on that.
All the traveling has been done now, so
There you go.
believe me, he needs it. I know he's super tight.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll chat soon.
All right.
Thanks,
Have a good day.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.